just to say, Deirdre Lawless today is going to talk to us about brainstorming online. So,
okay.
Thanks.
So I'm going to just show you two technologies. They're both online, and you probably have seen at least one of them before. So this is Jamboard. So pretty much what I do is I do a lot of breakout collaborative work with the students, getting them to work on exercises together, getting them to think about problems and collaborate on them. And I just found the whiteboard in Bongo a little bit too restrictive. So I'm going to try and share this. So this is Jamboard in Bongo. So hopefully you can see the screen. So I've made this publicly editable. So up at the top, you can create as many frames as you want. And you can add frames wherever you want. You can delete them as you go through, and whoever has edit access can do that. So yesterday I did this with the second years. So we're looking at software for the global market. So they're to redesign a web page to work for people from two different national cultures. So they have to pick a cultural dimension. So this was to brainstorm kind of layout. So I created a frame that just went through the reminder of the uncertainty avoidance as one of the dimensions. And then they basically got this frame where they were asked to decide which layout patterns would work best for high and low. So they create post-it notes for each one. So I seeded it with a set of post-it notes. They can go in and they can go and look at a different link. Unfortunately, it doesn't link automatically. They have to go in and edit it to get it, and then they can add a post-it note to say, you know, a different pattern, and then add that to the canvas. And individually they can add it, and then other people can go in and edit. Would work well. Because XYZ. Okay, so while they're in the breakout rooms, they all can have this open. So they can have the discussion. They can debate whether something can be moved from section to section. They can discuss the decision that they're trying to make. And then once it's captured, I can actually save that as a PDF. So I can download that. I can then obviously cut off the sharing. So if people want to add things onto it, they can for a period of time, and then I can close it. So the same thing, I put a blank canvas in place. So if they're having any problems, they can just note them down as post-it notes and do whatever they want. You can add images. So I've got them previously to look for images for personas. So male 40s businessman. We're looking at personas, so they can just search for an image and they can choose one they think will work best for that particular persona and add it in, and each person can add in their image, and then they can add in a little note as to why does this fit their persona. Okay. So they can also add in slides if they want. The danger is they can also delete slides if they want. So you just have to be a bit careful with having a backup of how they actually wanted, what they were actually asked to do versus what they actually did do. And so you can create a copy of that anytime you want. You can delete it, etc. Change it to be whatever you need it to be. So that's Jamboard. Anybody, any questions with that?
So do you need to have a Google account to use it?
No, not to contribute, but to create them you do. But okay. once they're created, you can make them available to anybody.
Very good.
Yeah. And so the other one then is Stormboard. So this is fine. One of the nice things about this is you can create content in PowerPoint and just you know, open your PowerPoint, select a slide, and then just paste it to the board. So these ones, I created the layout in a PowerPoint slide and then just copied the slide from PowerPoint and pasted it here, and it pastes as an image. So all you have to do is send it to the background to make sure that it's going to work the way you want it to work, that they can actually see the post-its as they need to see them. The other one that I use is a thing called Stormboard, which is a little bit more, if you like, got a little bit more functionality. So this is an example that I have for the, I'm hoping can you see the Stormboard thing? And I can't see it at the minute in the screen. So you should be seeing Stormboard demo use case diagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one I use with the higher diploma people. So pretty much it's a canvas and you can set it up however you want. So this is a Word file of instructions. So when you open that, off you go and edit it. So I'm going to just stick the link into Teams. So again, you can make people contributors. So everybody should be able to open the PowerPoint. We've got a section over here that if there's any issues or problems they're having, they can add a post-it. And then down here, we have a whiteboard. And pretty much what they're tasked to do in this is to draw the use case diagram collaboratively. So we can open the whiteboard and then everybody can be adding shapes and issues and or ideas onto the whiteboard as they go through. It is a bit fiddly in terms of having to resize it to be able to see what's going on, etc. So you can add text boxes and type whatever you want in that, undo, etc. But people can put ideas on. They can put their ideas about what a use case should be, etc. And then other people can move them around. They can change the arrows to be includes or extends, etc., depending on what they want. So as they're discussing it through. So the whiteboard feature is quite good that way. One of the nice features in Stormboard is that there's an inbuilt chat, so they can record chat as they're going. And the other thing is there's an activity monitor, so you can see who's doing what in terms of having names against things. Okay, it is all going to be kind of semi-anonymous, so it's not a big problem. So once they've logged out, you can show the board without any problems with it. And as you are monitoring it, if you've got 5 or 6 of the boards going, in each one you can see who's in the board, and you can see if you go away from this whether there's new activity, whether somebody has added something or has not added something to it or whatever. You can log in and see what they're actually doing. So once you've got your one board set up, you just duplicate it, so you can have the same board and give it to different groups to do different things. So you can see whoever's moving around the screen and what they're doing with the different name pointers. Okay. So I'm going to use it with I have been using it with the second years as well. It's just an easier way of organizing their lab material for them. So I kind of basically set up a section which gives them a link to a GitHub Classroom where they can download the template, a link to the instructions, and then a link to the video. And then they have a whiteboard beside it where any questions that they're asking me that seem to be recurrent problems, I just post them to the whiteboard and they can all see them. So it works quite well. They like the fact that they can do things, have it while they're having a chat. They like the whiteboard functionality quite a bit in both the Jamboard and the Stormboard, in that it's a little bit more feature rich than the Bongo whiteboard. If you want to, you can actually assign these as tasks. So you can give somebody a task. So once they're in the whiteboard, you can say, okay, well, Jack O'Neill is now responsible for this task. And under the task list, you will see all of the tasks. You see your own task, you see the tasks that other people are doing. And then once they're complete, you can mark them as finished. So you can make it a little bit more structured if you wish to do so. So I use it a lot with the higher diploma people to make them do some work on their CA during class time. So we kind of adopt a kind of Scrum based approach where we say this sprint is about doing this, and off you go, and you have this task and you have this task. And it really just gets them to do work rather than leaving it till the last minute. They're more than happy to participate and more than happy to talk to each other. And they would have been less, if you like, interactive if I was doing and leading the activity. Whereas when they're leading the activity and they're doing it, they're happy and they can go off and do it quite productively. And they like the fact that when we come back to class, if I have multiple boards, nobody knows who was in what group. They know who was in their group, but they don't know who was in other groups. So if we have more than 2 groups, it's kind of semi-anonymous. And if we're looking at situations where I'm kind of saying, well, this would be better put maybe here or there, at least it isn't like they're getting critiqued individually or as a group. It's more anonymous. And they're more happy to own up then at that stage and say, well, this is why we thought this, or this is why we thought that. So it's not kind of like it's more of an open kind of brainstorming situation.
So is the idea that you'd set up breakout rooms for each of your groups and you'd give them each their own Jamboard or Stormboard? Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I do generally. Yeah. And
then, so when you end all the breakout rooms, then you could overview all. You got access to all the Stormboards when you share your screen, and you can just go through each one, as you say, without identifying who's on what. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can close them. I can close them off for edit. Just by changing the access link, and then it's visible. So like they're not like retrospectively going in and the other groups are not retrospectively going in and fixing it.
Yeah, as you're critiquing, you have to go back in and change something. So the Stormboard seems to have a lot more functionality. Is it easy for them to get on board with it?
They didn't seem to have any problem with it. They kind of maneuvered a bit more than I would. The other thing with Stormboard is, you can change your layouts. There's a lot of different templates out already there. Okay, so it's probably more useful for other things necessarily. But if you're looking for brainstorming and ideation, there's a lot of templates already there that you can just leverage. Okay, so there's like the assumption grid there. So like for it, the reason I'm using it really is because of the second years I'm doing lean UX with them. So I've been using the principles of lean UX, and I wanted to do a lean UX canvas. So there is a lean UX canvas as part of this.
Okay.
There we go, lean frameworks. Yeah. Okay, so there's the daily stand-up, etc., Kanban board. So there we go, the lean canvas.
How long would you give for a brainstorming session?
Well, that is
typically?
The problem. Yeah, I would normally allocate like 15 to 20 minutes, but I'm finding I'm having to extend that by say maybe 10 minutes most of the time, just to kind of. So generally, and this is the difficulty of doing it in Bongo, is that you can't kind of email every breakout. You can go into the public chat, but you can't kind of email each breakout room separately and kind of ask them. You have to go in and ask them. But some of them are fine, the usual, and then they start messing around with drawing things on the whiteboard and all the rest of it. But generally, I'm finding about 10 minutes longer than I normally would give, just to kind of get everybody in and doing,
Yeah, and that's probably down to the fact that not everybody has a touch screen or a tablet, so they're using their mouse pad or something, which can be really constrictive. Yeah,
exactly. Well, one of the good things with these is that you can just, both of them, you can just search for an image and just stick it in. So say in here, if you want to add an image, you can just search for the image locally or whatever. You can search online. Same with the Jamboard. If you want to insert an image, you can search through Google. Sorry, that's Post-its. You can search through Google Images.
Yeah.
And then just stick it in. So that's kind of a handy feature for them when they're doing something and they don't want to draw it, that they can just find an image and stick it in.
Yeah, this is going to translate very well onto a face-to-face classroom just as easily.
What I like about both of them, the Stormboard is I like the dashboard where you can see who's in the rooms and who's doing what, you know, and you can see who's not in there by their initials, and you can kind of prompt them a bit, you know, and maybe say, are you having a problem or doing whatever? But some of them do like to hide. As soon as you say we're going to do collaborative work, they sign out, you know.
I tend to find with collaborative working that I'll generally have maybe one breakout room that works quite well, but then say 2 or 3 others, you kind of have a critical mass of students that just aren't really into it. So the whole breakout room kind of doesn't work. And I was just wondering if you've come across that and found any way to organize your breakout rooms to kind of try to work around that. I don't know if you have, but.
Well, I kind of have the benefit with the second years in that everything we are doing, you know, in the module it says that the majority of their CA work has to be done in class. So everything we're doing is kind of like, you need to do this to be able to do your CA. And we have, out of the 30 of them, we have 6 groups. So there's a good cohort of them that are already in groups, and so they're working together. And then the individuals, you know, you have to kind of maybe mind them a little bit more and kind of go in and kind of ask them questions a little bit, you know, just to kind of maybe prompt them a bit. But yeah, there are some who just kind of don't do anything. But I have to say, in fairness to them, if they stay on the call, if they stay in the class, they do generally try to do something. They may not get as much done as other groups, but at least they give it a go, you know. So it's good, you know, in that way. And because they don't know who's in which group, you know, if you choose to pick a board and show it, it isn't like, oh, you know, it's always Andrew and Igor, they're always great, you know, and she always picks them. You know, they don't know who did the board, so it's kind of, it's not visible that you're kind of always showing the same students' work, you know. So it kind of helps that way to break the kind of ice. And I do try and pick something out from, you know, when I go and do the review. So I'm going to do a review at the start of next week. I do try and pick something from each board, you know, so that I kind of highlight something from every group, just to say everybody made a contribution, just to kind of help a little bit with kind of building their confidence, you know.
Thanks a million, and thanks for the demo. It was very interesting. I'm definitely going to try that out. Looking forward to it. Yeah,
I find you do have to spend a bit of time preparing it and making sure you got your baseboard right before you actually duplicate it. And the other thing is, just with Jamboard in particular, is like if you're using a lot of boards, so like I'll show you my my Jamboard basic Jamboard list, you know, like there's a lot of them. So like I was creating 6 groups to do this kind of design thing. So we've got 6 boards for layout, 6 boards for navigation, 6 boards for input, and we'll have 6 boards for aesthetics, you know. So it's a lot, and you can't, like, the only thing you can do is change them to grids, you know. So it's not like, you know, it'd be nice to get just a nice list without seeing the visual. And then those are just my boards. So I've got a whole lot of other boards for other projects where other people are doing the same thing. So yeah. So with the Stormboard, it's similar, but at least, you know, I can mark something as I can close it, and then it disappears off my dashboard, so I don't have to actually worry about it, so I can focus. And then if I want to go back to it, I just go and reopen it, so it's all good. Yeah, but the other thing is the educator license for Stormboard is a little bit restrictive. There are certain things you can't do, so you can't actually, you know, you know, if you wanted to, you can create reports, but like in the free version, you can only create a word cloud, or you can create a screenshot, but you know, you can't export it to PowerPoint. That's restricted. And there's certain other things within. So, for example, if you edit the sections, you can make things, you know, magnetic. So organize things into a grid automatically. That's not available in the educator license. And you can also count things. If you want to organize things for votes and stuff like that, you can't do that in the educator license as well. And the educator license is only going to be free until June at the moment.